when I first started saving up, I was on 31k. By the time I had finished saving for my deposit, I believe I was on 50k. Hey kings and queens, I hope you're doing well and welcome back to my channel. So I wanted to touch upon the topic of buying a property alone. So some of you may be saving up a deposit for your first house or your first flat, and you are saving up by yourself. You believe you will be buying the property by yourself. And essentially I wanted to give you some encouragement today. If you're feeling like, gosh, this is going to take a really long time to save up the money that I need, or you may see people like on Instagram, on YouTube, buying properties with their partners or with their friends, and it may seem like it's so easy for them, or that it's easier for them because there's two of them. And yes, of course, it definitely is easier to buy a property when there are two of you, because it's two salaries combined. But I really don't want you to feel like it's going to be impossible for you, or for you to feel down or depressed about this, because it's very easy to feel like that as time goes on. And the reason why I feel like this is really close to my heart is because when I first started saving up my deposit for this house, even though I was in a relationship at that time, I was engaged, I believe, I started saving up by myself. And I think I've shared in a previous video, I saved up a 40k deposit. And the reason why, or one of the reasons why I did that, is because even though I was in a relationship, even though I was engaged, because I wanted this so badly, I just didn't want anything to get in the way of making this a reality for myself. I didn't want to have the mindset of, oh, I'm saving with him, or I'm saving with this person, and we're going to do this together, because we know that life is uncertain and we just don't know what could happen. Like, you may have started this whole saving journey, saving with your girlfriend or your husband or whoever, and then something happens to that relationship, or that something happens to that friendship, and you're no longer with that person, and then all of a sudden you're having to do this by yourself. I didn't want to have to go through that emotional and even financial change. So I had the mindset of, I am saving this deposit regardless of who is in my life at this point in time. Come what may, I am buying a house, or I am buying a flat. And that's the mindset I had all throughout my savings process. I was only focusing on my salary. I wasn't combining my salary with my husband, or with my fiance at the time, or with anyone else. I was focusing on my own salary and how much I personally could save up each month. And that's what I focused on. And I remember when I first started saving the deposit, the salary that I had at the time, I believe it was 31k. And I remember telling one of my colleagues at work, because she was also saving up for her first place, or her first house. I remember telling her in a cafeteria, like, gosh, this is going to take me a long time to save up for this deposit. Like, this is going to take really, really long. Because it does take longer if you're saving up by yourself. Of course, it's easier when you have two salaries. But I just I wanted to kind of like protect myself just in case anything happened. And what I tried to focus on is, I saw many colleagues around me who were solo buyers as well. Within a year after buying their first property, they got promoted and their salary went up. I saw that happen to at least two people. And I wanted the same thing to happen to myself. I wanted my salary to increase during the 2 years that I foresaw it taking me to save up the deposit. I was praying that my salary would increase during that time, and that also within a year or so of buying my first property, I was also praying that my salary would increase even further, so that the mortgage, however much it would end up being wasn't, it would be very easy to pay off because I would have had another salary increase. Those are the two things that I was praying for, and God really, really met me at the point of my need. So as I said, when I first started saving up, I was on 31k. By the time I had finished saving for my deposit, I believe I was on 48k when I finished saving. So I had about a couple like salary increases like incrementally over that 2-year period. So God really came, he really showed up for me, and I know he can do the same for you. So even if you feel like the salary that you're currently on is really, I guess, small, don't think that that will remain your situation for the duration of your saving period. Your salary can, and in Jesus' name, it will change and it will increase. Trust and believe and have faith. Because yeah, I just didn't really, I just felt like I didn't really know how I was going to do it when I first started saving, because at that time I felt like my salary wasn't that much. I know it's all subjective, but I felt like my salary could be a lot more. So I definitely was praying, and then as I started getting those salary increases in between the 31k and the 48k, when I was able to, I guess when God increased my salary, I just started attacking that deposit goal even more. So let's say at the start, when I was on the 31k, let's say I was only able to put £700 away each month towards my deposit. When I got a salary increase, instead of spending that, let's say £100, that extra £100, I would put that extra £100 towards my deposit. So it would be like £800 I'd be saving each month. And then I got another increase and it'll be £900 as opposed to £700. So just be really intentional about how you're saving or how you're using your money. If and when you get your salary increases during this process, put the extra money away towards your deposit, because it'll just make the whole journey quicker for you. It will speed up this process. So that's what I did, and I think it took me just under 2 years or 2 years exactly to save up my 40k goal. I was saving up by myself, putting away as much as I could every single month. And I guess another way that God really surprised me and met me at the point of my need was by the time I was ready to start looking for places, my husband now came on board towards buying a home, and we ended up looking for homes together and buying a house together. Remember, at that point we weren't married. Yes, we were engaged, but we weren't married. So it was kind of like a shock to me, because when I started this process, I didn't think I'd be buying with someone. I thought I'd have to do this whole thing by myself. I thought I'd be a solo buyer, but God literally surprised me, and he can do the same for you. And what ended up happening is that because my husband came on board and saw, I guess, the value of buying a house and investing in property almost, I didn't have to use the whole 40k that I had saved up myself. I was able to use some of that 40k towards paying for things like getting this house decorated and making changes to it, because my husband now put part of his money towards our deposit, and I was able to save some of the money that I had thought that would be going towards the deposit. So it's really, I guess, it's not crazy, but God can definitely change your financial situation. If you are saving up for a house by yourself now, you can meet your life partner within 6 months and get married to them, or things can just change within a year or even less than a year. So don't lose faith that, if your dream is to buy a house or buy a flat or whatever with someone, don't lose all hope, because it can happen. God can surprise you and exceed your expectations. But even if you have to buy somewhere alone, You can do this. It's not impossible. There have been so many people who have done this before you and who are still doing it now, and you can do this too. Like, what I have seen people do that they've ended up really regretting is they have said, I'm not going to buy a house, I'm not going to buy a flat until I get married. Like, when I get married, when I meet my husband, when I meet my wife, that's when we will buy a house. But I've seen people have that kind of mentality, and 10 years later they still haven't met their life partner and they're still not on the property ladder, and they are at a disadvantage because house prices are just rising, and it will be more expensive for you to buy a house in 10 years time as opposed to now. So people in their 40s, 50s, they're regretting not just doing it before when they could have done it, because they waited and they still haven't met that partner or that husband or that wife. So if you have the means to do this by yourself now as a solo buyer, do it. You probably will not regret it, because the sooner you get on the property ladder, the better it will be for you, because there's less money involved. You won't have to put as much money forward as if you are buying in 5 years time, 10 years time. So yeah, what I want to really, I guess, emphasize is the fact that I know it's hard saving up for a deposit as a solo buyer, but please don't let that put you off from doing so, and please don't let that hold you back from doing so, because this is you, I guess, getting your life in order, and you're creating wealth and equity for yourself in the future by doing this now. And as I said before, I started my savings process thinking that I'll be buying a flat or a house as a solo buyer, and God just surpassed my expectations, and we ended up buying together. And as I said as well, even if you end up saving 30k, for example, and you don't end up using the whole of that 30k because you've now met someone and you're buying a place together, that extra money, you can use it on your house renovation or an extension or painting and decorating, or, you know, whatever in your house. That money can still and will still be put to good use. So just save as much as possible. And yeah, essentially, please try not to let yourself feel too down during this savings process if you're a solo buyer. Don't look at people who are buying with a partner, a husband, a wife. Focus on your lane, your race. Focus on the most you can do, and just reward yourself. Just acknowledge how amazingly you're doing and what you're doing for your future, and just really try and keep your spirits and your hopes and your focus high. So yeah, that's my advice or tips for this video. Please let me know if you have either if you are saving up for a house or a flat right now and you think you'll be a solo buyer, or you've bought your own property and you were a solo buyer. Definitely share in the comments how that is going for you, your thoughts, your feelings, if you would have done things differently. Let us know, because this is a discussion, and yeah, we're all here to support one another. So yeah, I do hope this was helpful. Thank you for watching, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Take care.